Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 24th of February, and we are thinking about the arrival again today. Now, Wednesday is spelling practice, as we know, but because we have our theme day on Friday, we are going to do our spelling test today instead so that we don't miss out, okay? I know you've only had one session practicing. Hopefully some of you have been on Spelling Frame as well. So remember, it is words with silent letters. We've got 10 words for you. I'm going to read them out and then you're going to check them off yourselves, okay? So pen and paper at the ready. Number 1, column, column. Number 2, doubt, doubt. Number 3, island, island. Number 4, night, night. Number 5 is limb, limb. Number 6, plumber, plumber. Number 7 is solemn, solemn. Number 8 is thistle, thistle. Number 9 is tomb, tomb. And number 10 is whistle, whistle. Okay, I'm going to read those out one more time. Make sure you've got those silent letters in there. So we've got column, doubt, island, night, limb, plumber, solemn, thistle, tomb, and whistle. Okay, make sure you've got all of those down. Pause the video now and mark off your spellings. Okay, it's a good benchmark for next week because we'll still be doing silent letters, so hopefully we'll get an improvement on those. Well done for that, children. Okay, so thinking about the arrival, this incredible picture story about one man's and his family's immigration journey, but also lots of other people's stories intertwined as well. In our story, the man writes a letter home to his family. So you can see on this picture here, he's writing it in his notebook, he's folding it up into this origami bird, and then he just sets it off into the wind, which is quite a cool way of sending off your letters, isn't it? As we know, this world is quite unusual, it's quite fantasy based. So he folds that letter up and sends it off into the wind. Later on in our story, once he's been settled into his house and his job for a bit, he receives a letter back from his family. Now, looking at his expression in each of these photos, jot down a few words. How do you think our character is feeling in the very first picture? We can see him here. He always looks a bit solemn there, doesn't he? Or maybe a bit confused, possibly looking around, possibly a bit lonely. So those are words you could jot down. But here, there's a very obvious change in how he's feeling, isn't there? And he's even looking out to the sky. So pause the video now. Give yourself a couple of minutes to jot down some words, maybe phrases. How is he feeling at each of these points? Okay, well done for doing that. So today you are going to take on the role of our main character, and we are going to be writing a letter home to your family. So you're pretending you are this main character, and it's going to be an informal letter, isn't it? Because if you're writing to your family, you're more likely to say what you're thinking and you can be quite casual. Whereas if it was, you know, writing to your local MP or something, it would be very formal and very proper. So have a think now. What details might our character include in this letter? What is he going to be mentioning? So pause the video now and give yourself 2 minutes just to write a little list of things that he might talk about in this letter. Off you go. Okay. So let's have a little look. These are some of the things I came up with. I'm sure you came up with a myriad of other different options, but if you couldn't think of anything, jot these ones down because these are a good place to start. We've got how his journey was. So he spent a long time on that boat, didn't he? And it was very busy and crowded. So how did he think the journey went? How was it? The complications of the assessment. Oh, I've misspelled assessment there. Assessment. When he arrived, so he had to have all these checks, didn't he? They were looking in his ears, they were giving him health checks, they had to look over his passport and his papers, and there was a bit of a misunderstanding, so he might mention that. Difficulties in not speaking the language. So we know he doesn't speak the same language as the people in this city, and that's where some confusion comes as well. So he might have some difficulties in that area that he might talk about. The friendly locals and the unusual pets. This pet that just seems to have been in his room and hasn't left. Okay, so he would definitely mention that, and that's something his daughter would be interested in, isn't it? How he feels now he is settled into a room. So he's got his own little room, hasn't he, that he can stay in. How's he feeling now? So he would probably have been a bit worried and lonely and scared maybe at the beginning. But how is he feeling now that he has settled into his room? Okay, so these are all sorts of things that we might mention in our letter. I'm going to show you an example now of a letter, and feel free to jot down anything you want to steal for your own informal letter, okay? You might have things that I haven't mentioned. That's great. I'd love to see those in your letters. Okay, and whilst I'm reading, can you think of the linking phrases I've used here, things that make my sentences flow better? Sometimes they are subordinating conjunctions, sometimes they're fronted adverbials, sometimes they're just phrases, okay? So whilst I'm reading, have a think about that. Now I've called the mum and the daughter Nancy and Anya. You can call them whatever you like, okay? Dear Nancy and Anya, where do I begin? The journey here was like no other. I found myself on a boat full of thousands of people travelling to the big city just like I was. The noise and crowds were quiet, I've written there. That should be quite. Let's change that. Quite. Overwhelming at first. However, the sea was kind to us and the cabins were just the right size, so I can't complain too much. One afternoon I went up to the main deck and above me were thousands of paper birds decorating the sky. It was an incredible sight. A few hours after that, we finally entered the port. On the approach, I was completely awestruck by the towering statues that welcomed our boat forwards. Huge decorated things that looked like they were holding giant eggs. The city is so unlike our home. You two would really love it here. Upon arriving at the dock, we were herded into the long, thin hall and had to wait in line for our checks. The room was vast and the process took hours. I had to have a medical examination. A bit much, if you ask me. And then there was some confusion around my papers. Luckily, we came to an understanding and I was released, that should be. Released. This is why it's very important to check your work, children. Released. Into my new life. I have settled into a small room in a large house, and I've got myself a pet. Well, not exactly got. It was here when I arrived, and it hasn't left. It's a peculiar creature with sharp-pointed teeth. It has the look of a small shark about it. I have enclosed a picture for you to see. Tomorrow I begin the task of finding a job. This would be simple had I grasped any of the local language. However, many of the locals have been kind and generous towards me thus far, so hopefully I will have some luck. I miss you both terribly. Every night I look up at the sky and hope that you too are gazing at the same star as me. I cannot wait until we are all reunited here in the safety of the big city. Keep safe and hopefully we will be together soon. All my love. Okay, so thinking about our success criteria, details of your journey, your new home, links between sentences and how your character is feeling. That will come across anyway, won't it, in a letter. Now let's have a look at these linking phrases. We have got, however, we've got one afternoon. Notice how they've got commas after them as well. We've got a few hours after that. On the approach. Upon arriving at the dock. So lots of these are fronted adverbials. Luckily, what else have we got? On the next page, we have tomorrow, and we have however again, and we have every night. So there we are, folks. Have a go at writing your own example letter. Now mine is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 short paragraphs, okay? So I would expect you to spend maybe 20 minutes to half an hour on this, all right? So you're taking on the role of our character and including these linking phrases. So really good luck with this. Looking forward to reading them. Make sure you check them through, as we know that's very important, and make sure you send them to us. Thank you very much.